Let's get you on over to the Saturday special. This is AM 1080 KSCO.
Josh Stevens.
MZ, Michael Zwerling.
May I ask you a personal question?
What is today's?
Do you like to foment hate?
What's that?
Do you like to foment hate?
Foam at hate.
No,
what do you mean by that?
Foment. Encourage it. Promote it. Foment. F-O-M-E-N-T. That's a word that I guess isn't used very often, but I just used it. I hope I used it right.
Sometimes, but not in sensitive times.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, no one likes to foment hate, and I certainly don't want to foment hate. But the more I think about it, the more I dislike the Chinese communists. Not the Chinese people, the Chinese communists.
Their government, not the people.
Yeah. And it's really bothering me that we find ourselves in this situation here in the great United States of America. And I'm hoping that some real good is going to come out of this. I'm hoping that a lot of people are going to see the light, as I only recently have. I mean, you probably don't remember, a year and a half ago, or a year and a quarter ago, I went to China and was raving about it. And the more I thought about it afterwards, the more I figured, hey, I've been had, It's all a big lie.
Yeah.
So anyhow, and now this virus thing is affecting the whole world that I believe is a lot more sinister. The creation of the virus is a lot more sinister than the virus itself.
Well, if you wanted to debauch a currency, this little pandemic would be a great way to do it. So, yeah.
God, yet another topic to discuss. But anyhow, Dave Michaels.
Good morning, MZ.
How are you feeling today? Be honest.
I am feeling great.
Why?
Because I took my tangy tangerine.
Oh, of course. What a stupid.
You always feel great when you take your tangy tangerine.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
And when I forget to take it, I feel like bleep for the rest of the day. And I wonder why. And then I think, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to take it. And then I take it, and then I feel great the rest of.
Well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and I have already had my tangy tangerine, went for a 4-mile walk, and I feel fantastic. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I feel great. I feel ready for the rest of the day.
Wow.
It's going to be a great day.
You've got a bunch of stuff here
I
to
do,
remind you of what you're going to talk about and promoting.
I want to remind people about my favorite combo. You can come down to the Dave Cave and ask for Dave's combo, right? That's what I'm going to call this now. I don't know that it has a real name. And that's your tangy tangerine, Osteo Fx, and Glucogel, the 3 best sellers in the Dave Cave, and they're the best sellers because they work. These are the 3 best products in my opinion.
When you say they work against what? They make you just feel overall better?
So 2 minutes. The tangy tangerine makes you feel fantastic. It has all the minerals and vitamins, amino acids, probiotics, prebiotics. This is the flagship product that we have. Tangy tangerine will make you feel great. Everybody should be on that. Goes without saying. Now, the Osteo Fx is your bone strengthener. If you're going through, if you're dealing with bone density issues. A lot of women have to deal with this, men too. Calcium is one of the most important supplements in our body. Osteo Fx is your bone and joint supplement, has lots of calcium.
And I've never heard anybody who didn't love the flavor of the Osteo Fx.
And even if you don't like the flavor, we have alternatives down at the Dave Cave. King Calcium would be an alternative to that. And Glucogel, this is to help rebuild. Well, we can't say it rebuilds cartilage. We can't say that. But all I can tell you is that people rave about this stuff. Their joints feel fantastic. We cannot say that it helps rebuild cartilage, but there you go. Glucogel. These 3 are my favorite: Tangy Tangerine, Osteo Fx, and Glucogel. And since the coronavirus is out there, everybody's dealing with it. And just in general, you want to smell clean, be clean, right? Hydro wash for your high-efficiency washers and for just your regular washer, I guess. But make sure you keep your clothes clean. Any soap, any detergent, I've been reading, is good enough to kill the coronavirus. So if you stick it in your washer...
You're holding up 2 different shape.
Right. One of them is containers. For high-efficiency washers. I've never had a high-efficiency...
Which one? I have one.
Do you?
Yeah,
it's this one.
Good. I've been using the right one without realizing it. Thank God.
No matter what type of washing machine you have, we have the stuff for you. And there you go. I'll be out at the Dave Cave now, and you have to call into the Dave Cave 218-5726, and I'll have your order ready for you, or just knock on the door, and I'll peek at you through the window, and we can take care of business that way.
And the delivery, too. How's that been going?
Oh, delivery's been pretty good. Yesterday, I ran into my first difficulty. I got lost out in Aptos. So I was looking for, I probably shouldn't say the name of the road, but it sounded like another road, and I just got totally lost. But other than that, it's been going great. I've made a drop-off in Monterey County, Santa Cruz, Aptos, I don't know where else, SoCal, everywhere. I've been everywhere. 218-5726. Again, that's 218-KSCO.
Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I heard two different delivery fees. What is the actual delivery fee?
There's a small, tiny baby fee and no fee. If you live in Watsonville, I'll deliver it free of charge. And if you live somewhere around here in the Santa Cruz area on my way to work, I'm not going to charge you for that. But if I have to go outside of my way, I'm going to charge you a little tiny baby fee. That's $10.
That's like nothing.
I told you, it's a tiny baby fee. It's a $10 bill.
You did tell me that.
Yes, and also, MZ, if you're going to place your order, you want it delivered to your house, throw in an extra $10 bill, aside from the delivery, and you get a KSCO bag. How's that?
God.
Yeah, pretty good, huh? I'll be out the Dave Cave, 218-5726.
It doesn't
218-KSCO.
Get any better than that. I don't think it gets any better than that. Thank you, Dave Michaels. And let's start the program, okay, officially.
Good morning, a brighter day is here. Good morning, may we bring you cheer. We've got time, we've got tunes, we've got time, tunes, and temperature. Get up and go, it's today, you know, on KSCO Radio.
Oh, that's my cue to say good morning, everyone. Welcome to the KSCO Saturday special with poor old beleaguered MZ. Yeah, but these are trying times. But as we all keep hearing, we're going to get through it, and we're going to be better when it's all over. And I believe that. Do you believe that, too? Anyhow, stick with us for the next 2 hours.
Good morning. Now stay right here on KSCO Radio.
That special fanfare music intro denotes that we're going to have a really special guest. I think, I don't want to overbuild the program, but the guest, who's a friend of mine, whom I have prevailed upon to be the guest today, is going to bring quite a different perspective to all of this. And we will start that in just a little bit. But I see we have on our phone line an old friend, Rich Lieberman, who is called in, and without taking up too much time here, I'm going to invite Rich to come on and talk with us. Rich, how you doing? What's up?
Good morning.
How are you?
I am I'm actually fine. Just had some good breakfast, and I was going to go out in the rain and walk around.
Good.
You know, I think this is the first time I've spoken with you on the air in a while.
Correct.
And, thank you for giving me a few minutes. I can't believe we're in a situation like this. And, you know, I was thinking like you, and I really don't know your official feelings. I forgot that you were in China a year and a quarter ago. I did forget about that. But I thought, you know, and I was driving in the car yesterday, MZ, and this absolutely was on my mind, is how catastrophic this is, how this virus has not only paralyzed us, but the entire world, you know. And I thought in my mind, I said, could it be 100% that there's no foul play here? In other words, could someone or some country have deliberately put this out, you know, put this virus out, whether it's biohazard, whether it's something to which it was obtained and spread. And I thought to myself, if that was the case, we'd already know about it, given our technology, given the fact that it's not only paralyzed us, but China itself, and it's now spreading, as you know, it's all over Europe. It's in the Middle East. It's in fact the only place it's really abated is the southern hemisphere countries, and now as they go into their winter, it's starting to get them. So I thought to myself, if you're a terrorist, or if you're a country that has malfeasance on your mind, what benefit would it be to you or to them to mess with us because you're messing with the world? Make sense?
Yeah. So you're to the conspiracy people who think this is something that was intentionally brought into the world for a sinister reason. You're suggesting probably not. Yeah.
Exactly. Well put. Probably not, because I could see maybe doing it in the United States alone or North America. But what it has done, I think it's just something that happened. It was probably a natural occurrence. It's one of these, lifetime, once in a lifetime, once in 100, whatever. What was it? The Spanish flu, which everybody's going by, which was about 100 years ago. I think optimistically we're going to be okay, because 100 years ago, or whatever it was, 1917, 1918, they didn't have the technology. They didn't obviously have the medicine that we have today.
Right.
And ultimately, and I want to ask you this question, and I know you have other callers, and I know you want to go into your main monologue, but how do we know, once we've got a hold of this, other than that stupid slippery slope or whatever the curve, I mean, how do we know when we are flattening the curve, as they say?
Okay, I think we're going to get a call. I don't know the answer to that question, Rich, and it's a great question. I believe one of the special callers we're going to have is Dr. Eric Wattenberg, who is Dr. Bill Wattenberg's son.
Yeah.
I expect that Eric will be calling in shortly. In the meantime, we have Jamel in Sydney, Australia, who's going to give an update from down under. He'll be our next caller. Carlos in Santa Cruz has a response to Rich. Real quick here. I don't want to take up too much time, but I'll hold you on and put Carlos on with you, Rich. Go ahead, Carlos.
Sure.
You're on.
Hey, good morning. I appreciate the fact that you guys are owning up to the fact that this is a serious thing, even though 2 weeks ago Charlie was caring about anything that didn't affect him. So I'm glad that you guys are turning and coming around to the fact that this is serious. I talked to you last weekend, I believe, with the joke about $1,000 and how much it takes for a Republican to become a socialist. So anyhow, what I'm hearing right now is nice. I love the fact that Rich is coming with an open mind, but at the same time, the information is out there. The information is out there, actually, on Fox News. I'm not even going to give you other information, because sometimes it seems like you guys refuse to acknowledge or even believe that there's news out there. But even on Fox News right now, there is a study that they published about how pangolins, I think I'm saying it right, pangolins have been discovered to carry one of the two RNA strains. For those of you who don't go to school or don't accept education, ribonucleic acid is part of what builds you up, part of your DNA, part of evolution. Okay? So I just wanted to let you know that information is out there, and we are endangering ourselves with a lot of the cultural things that we do. For example, there's a huge black market of exportation of pangolins in America. People like their exotic animals, and they export all kinds of exotic animals. So when we're talking about this being man-made, I can understand people feeling fear for being attacked. I mean, it's one of the values here that we have, that fear of being attacked by somebody else, some dark-skinned Juju or some other people. It's part of the American psyche. So I understand that. The problem is that the data is out there, and it's been there for about 2 weeks. People are starting to study this. There's another very important thing that you guys are not talking about, the fact that this thing is not a virus. It's actually a protein molecule, not a virus. Antibiotics is not going to do anything for it. So
okay.
I just implore for you guys.
Yeah, real quick, but Rich, we guys, wow.
I'll be very. Yeah, sir. Fox News originally said that this was all a hoax, so I would not be so beholden to Fox News.
Oh no, I know. I'm not disagreeing with you,
Wait a minute, let me
Rich,
just
at all.
finish. I let you talk. Let me just finish, and I'll let you go on. I'm going to get off the air here. There's a lot of information that you say that's out there, quote unquote. Okay, but Fox News originally said that this was not a virus at all; that it was a hoax. Okay, so I'm not going to put much faith in Fox News or CNN, any of those. I think you got to be really objective and read everything you can. Go to the sources that make sense, and don't go thinking about wild conspiracy theories like you're offering. MZ, have a great day. You guys do a
Thank
hell
you,
of a
Rich.
job.
Rich Lieberman is the writer of 415 Media, and just Google that, and you can read his stuff every day. And thank
that's
you.
Rich Lieberman.
That
I read him.
It's
He's
Rich
hilarious.
Lieberman. Yeah, he's hilarious,
Listen.
and he's very talented.
Yeah.
He used to have a show on KSCO in 2013, I think.
I want to clarify one thing. I wasn't using Fox News as a reference because I believe in what they say. I'm using it because I'm saying it seems to be what most of your listeners believe the news coming from. I agree with Rich 100%. This is not a hoax. This is not a whatever.
Who's even suggesting that anymore? Why are we taking up time even talking about that? You're right that a lot of people thought that, but no one thinks that now.
No,
Carlos, thank you for calling the Saturday special. Appreciate it. Jamel Bookaboo, not
The one and only. How are you,
it's
MC?
the Jamel Bookaboo, not a Jamel Bookaboo, and you are in Sydney, Australia, right now. Friend of mine and someone I've known through Youngevity and brought into Youngevity through listening to the Alex Jones show. Yes, Jamel?
Correct.
Okay. Well, here you are. Thank you for sending me the email that had your 4-minute conversation with Alex yesterday or the day before. And it gave me a chance to email you back and say, hey, if you got a minute for an update from Down Under, call the Saturday special. And here you are. What's the update, my friend?
Sure do. Well, it's great to talk to you, MZ, and it was great to catch up with you last time I was in the state. So for Youngevity, things are great. Dr. Wallach is, in my opinion, the best doctor on the planet, and the product for me really did work. I searched out Dr. Wallach after hearing him on the Alex Jones show because I was a lifelong asthmatic. I'd never heard how you could get rid of asthma except manage it. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I flew across the world to a Youngevity convention, and I met Dr. Wallach, the same convention in Anaheim. No, it was somewhere in California, and I met MZ and everybody. And I don't have asthma anymore. Now I'm not making any claims or anything, but it's changed my life. Now I can help other people with my Youngevity business. Also, just sharing what I think is a great message.
Right. Hey, now, Jamel, all that's great, but tell us what's going on with the virus and how life is down under.
Well, I think things are a lot like they are in the US and pretty much all over the Western world. I think we're going into lockdown, I've heard, as of tomorrow, which means that, we're advised not to leave our homes or tour vans in my case. But that's what's happening over here. Pretty much identical what's happening with you guys. I listen
Except
to
it sounds like you're a couple of weeks behind us. Is that right?
Maybe, but, they cleared out Bondi Beach on the weekend, and things are pretty quiet on the streets right now, MZ.
And you're a musician, so that's definitely impacted that part of your livelihood, I assume, yes?
Absolutely. Last week I lost all my work for the whole year. I've just released an album where I did an Australian tour, and that was my 7th studio album, which I will send to you, MZ. I've actually signed a copy for you, and I will send that out to KSCO.com. My music is at bookaboo.com, and the album is titled 7, and you can get that anywhere. You can get that on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere.
Great.
And I'd love to send you a copy. I've already signed the copy for you, MZ.
All right. Okay. Hey, Jamel, great hearing from you, and all the best. We'll keep our fingers crossed that that Australia makes it through with minimum headaches and casualties. So, and
Thank you. God bless.
thanks for calling. Here's Dr. Eric Wattenberg. Hey, Dr. Eric, how are you?
Hey, MZ, I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. You're in or near Bend, Oregon, where you have a medical clinic. It's Dr. Eric Wattenberg, MD. Yes, he is the son of the smartest man in the world, Dr. Bill Wattenberg, PhD. And let's see, earlier in the program, someone asked us how we're going to know when the bell curve has been reached or what happens then. And I said, well, I think that's a good question for Dr. Eric, whom I think will be calling, and then you called. So,
Well, you told me to listen and see how the see how the flow of the show went instead of being placed on hold for 2 hours. So that's
Right.
great. We don't know that for sure. We really don't know if we're going to see multiple peaks in this, but right now, I think one of the best websites, if people want to go to one website, now it'll scare you if you look at it. It is like a video game, and it's keeping count by the minute of all the cases around the world. And this is one put out by Johns Hopkins University. And the website's a big, long name, but it's Argus, or Arcus, ARCGIS.com. But I think if you just Google Johns Hopkins University COVID global cases, but if you just Google Johns Hopkins University COVID-19, I'm sure it's going to pop up. It's got a big dark black background on it. It really looks like a video game. It is putting out some wonderful numbers that, frankly, I think are probably the most current in the world. The CDC seems to be lagging behind by days. There's another site I've been following that does some very nice analysis, but they seem to be a few days behind. You really need to play with this one, because what you won't notice is down on the bottom of this main landing page, there are some little tabs that say admin 1, 2, and 3, or confirmed and daily increase. You need to click on those little tabs at the bottom, and you can find some very nice plots of what is going on. And you can do it by region around the world. It's a wonderful website. So in answer to the question, where are we in this one? We don't know. The best data we have is what happened in China, if you trust it. But if not, then go to South Korea, go to Japan, go to Italy, go to the countries that seem to have experienced this before we did, and look at those curves. And they are typical bell curves, and there are some regions around the world that seem to be at least plateauing and maybe starting to head downhill. China, of course, says they've got no more cases, and they probably haven't reported a case in 2 weeks. Whether you trust that or not, I don't know. But go to South Korea. I think we have to trust them. They have a very nice bell curve, and they're way on the downhill side of this. It looks like probably 3 weeks ago they hit their peak. So it appears to be that we're probably in this for the better part of a month as far as the sharp rise and then the decline in cases. But that's the best data we have.
All right, Eric, last time we spoke, which was on this program last week, I remember the gist of what you were saying was basically, correct me if I'm wrong, I hope the injury to the economy here in the United States from the reaction to what we're doing to combat the virus will, when it's all said and done, have been worth it. Is that pretty much your message last week?
Yes, and I'm still standing by that. I produced a very small thesis that I have emailed you. I'm not sure you've seen it. I've sent it to everybody I know, every contact that I know my father had, because he had some very high contacts in high places. And I did an analysis. I've spent 2 weeks trying to find some solid data that we can get an idea of just what we're facing. And it is not easy to come by. It took me 4 different sources over the internet, CDC, this Johns Hopkins site, and one other site that does a lot of statistical analysis. And worldwide, they're having a very difficult time with this. What I had to do, what all of us have needed, is what is the baseline for this? We have no idea. There was no test available even up into January until we really saw this train coming down the tracks, and then there's been a big scramble by many different entities to try to come up with a valid test for this. But we had no baseline for this worldwide. It may have existed in a few really isolated labs that probably looked at animals, but past that, we had no idea what the human experience with it was. And until recently, we haven't had enough data on what is this doing to us. And what I've derived, the only solid baseline that I can come up with, and I've circulated this, like I said, is of those people that have been hospitalized for COVID, what is the death rate? And we can compare that to the influenza. But even with that, it was not easy to get that data even out of the CDC statistics. For some reason, I don't think the CDC really wants to put those numbers out there, because I think it will throw a lot of cold water on a lot of the fear.
Wow. Gee. Now,
so what I've come up with, and this has not been vetted, it has not been proven. I've thrown it out there to everybody I knew. In fact, I gave it to you at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, maybe I was wondering about that. I said, geez, Eric, don't you ever sleep? Sheesh, Eric, don't you ever sleep? I think was my response. Maybe I'm just thinking out loud now. Maybe we should put that on KSCO.com since we're talking about it.
I am probably ready to put this out there. I haven't had anybody come back and say, whoa, I really made a big mistake. But my numbers, if you look at influenza, and those numbers are easily, well, I shouldn't say easily, the data is out there. Of people that are hospitalized for influenza, the death rate is about 10%. Sounds horrific, but that's hospitalized, ICU, older people with comorbidities. We have the majority of people with the flu don't even go to the hospital or go to a clinic. They just have the flu and they get over it. So, but of those that are hospitalized, my numbers say 10% death rate. Now, if you take the worldwide COVID experience, and there's data out there now, the death rate worldwide for people that have been in the hospital for COVID is about 18%. So it is higher than the flu. So that was the train coming down the track that scared everybody. But our experience in the United States so far, we have had, well, as a day before yesterday, we had 1,200 deaths and about 21,000 people in the hospital. Our death rate's 5.7%, which is lower than our experience in the United States with the flu. So I'm not saying that COVID is not going to circulate widely. It probably will. But have we destroyed the world's economy, in particular the United States economy, and our culture out of fear and not having numbers to look at? And I would love this to go all the way to the White House. So.
Okay. Gee, yeah, thank you, Dr. Eric. I appreciate your calling into the Saturday special, and definitely whenever you can, give us a call if you have something
I will
share.
Continue to listen, and you've got my phone number. If some callers or you have need for me, I'll be right here.
Great. Thank you very much. Dr. Eric Wattenberg, MD, son of Dr. Bill Wattenberg. And here's Nick in Boulder Creek. How is caller telling facts from what? It ran, what do you want to talk about, Nick?
Hey there. So I listen to this show especially, but I listen to this radio station because I feel like I just get smarter every time. I don't necessarily always agree with everything that everybody says or whatever. You just can't. Otherwise, you're just a yes here. But when people blatantly say stuff or misrepresent facts, it really insults my intelligence, and I just feel like. Do you think there's that?
You think there's a lot of that intentionally going on the station? Or maybe
no.
It's innocently.
No, I think they really believe what they say. For example, a couple calls ago was saying that Fox News said it was a hoax. Okay, well, I sit in my semi-truck almost 15 to 16 hours a day, and all I do is listen to blah, blah, blah radio. almost 9/10 of my time is on your app, because I love to listen to this station. Like I said, I mean, you know, I just love the station. I love you. I think you guys are awesome. But he says that, you know, Fox News said it's a hoax. Well, in all actuality, if he wants to say what the news media is saying, is the news media's template was that Trump said it was a hoax. But what Trump said out of his own mouth was the way the media is treating this is a hoax.
Right.
But of course, they can't say the truth. And that man on whoever called a couple calls ago couldn't tell the truth. He was the smartest man in the room, misrepresenting facts, trying to make people believe that Fox News said that. Fox News never said that, okay? The media was reporting that Trump said it when they actually said it the way they were reporting it.
You know, you're right, Nick, and I knew that, and I didn't call him on that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, you know.
Yeah, you know, and what's really sad is the way he had a really nice tone in his voice. He almost sounded intelligent, and then when he said that, it was just like, it's kind of like when somebody just, like when they've told you this wonderful story, and then you find out just one part of it's a lie, the whole story becomes invalid. You're just like, wait a second, and then you're standing there like you're just dumb. You're the dumb one. Like, I'm supposed to believe this. Am I supposed to be dumb? You know? And MZ, you tell us every week. You tell us this is the smartest audience, and you don't.
That's
allow
by design.
people.
Yeah, we don't allow stupid people to listen.
But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, sir. You really run a good ship there. You run a really good ship.
Okay, will you stay on and co-host with me? I love people who compliment me. So,
I want to tell you something, MZ. This is the third time you've said that to me. The day that you dinged your car in the parking lot and I met you that day, you told me, hey, and this is when you had cancer at your station, and you wanted me to come on because even though I agreed with cancer, I agreed with you in the one-trick pony. You know, I mean, I loved what that cancer said, but come on, you know, that horse is dead. Let's beat a different one. And that's all you kept asking that cancer. Just change the circus, you know? But anyway, so, yeah, you've asked me. This is the third time you've said that, sir. So I might be your next Ashley.
This time I took a picture of your phone number. Okay, hey, thank you, Nick, in Boulder Creek. I appreciate it very much. All right, so listen, Lucas and Soledad and Dane in Watsonville, stay there if you want to, but I'm looking at the clock, and we'll get to you ultimately, but if I keep taking calls that keep coming, we're not going to get to the real meat of the program here. 35 minutes into the program, let me introduce my friend whom I met in San Francisco not too long ago. Her name is Amy, and Amy was born and raised in China. She's about my age, pretty close to my age, and Amy is from a historically well-to-do family in China, but during the Cultural Revolution, which happened just prior to Amy's birth, everything changed in China. And long story short here, Amy is somebody who has gone through an awful lot. And specifically, she spent 10 years in a Chinese labor camp. Amy, welcome to KSCO. Please come a lot closer to the microphone.
Okay.
And tell us. Well, I should add to that. Is that from an against all odds, beginning. You have you emigrated. You were able to emigrate to the United States in your 20s, I guess. And no, it wasn't. Excuse me. You take over. Tell us your story.
Sure.
Here, sorry, I'm going to get it all
I
wrong.
could correct something. And I was born 1952.
Okay.
So that was 1949, communists took over
Right,
China.
right.
Not the Cultural Revolution. Cultural Revolution started in 1966. So, and then I
Thank
was
you.
16 years old, 1969. So 50 years ago, 51 years ago, and they started Cultural Revolution. So send the, I don't know anybody seen the movie Killing Field.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Cambodia camp. But the Pol Pot is Mao's protege, so he studied Mao's social experiment. So send the entire family to the camp. So that's create this killing field. So 800,000 people die in 3 years. But the Cultural Revolution, 1966, we be sent out the 1969. It's not the entire family, but all the children's. So we used to call Mao's children because we've been brainwashed by Communist Party. And so we would follow Mao's idea, have this big social experiment to changing the human nature. So, human nature, you're born, you're bonding with your parents, so you love your parents to begin with, right?
Sure.
That's the human nature.
Yes.
And the Mao wanted to changing that and make people, the new generation, they only loyal to Communist Party. So when they young, they started brainwash then they grow up, send it to the camp. So the result of that is you completely is a robot or whatever you call it, Communist Party. They want you to kill your parents, you will do it. That kind of thing. Yeah, but it's killing field. They did, the whole family. That's the further experiment than the Mao. But we were there actually in the commune, they call commune, actually the labor camp, for about 5 years straight. And we sent it to a camp, which not even the camp. In camp, you provide a place to stay, at least, right? So just the village, it's a very remote, completely primitive place. Like you just live in the jungle. There's nothing. And working in the field, rice field, 365 days a year, every day.
Why were you sent there? It was like a prison, a punishment.
Yeah,
Why? How?
No, that's after they used the youth to have the Chinese the power struggle, because some people in the Communist Party, they don't want the Mao to be a leader, so they will do different ways. So Mao want to get rid out who they were use the students. So started this Red Guard Cultural Revolution. I think some even up to United States, Berkeley, and then other place, they have the Red Guard headquarters in 16 and Mission, San Francisco. I saw they still have the empty building. They have Mao's poster, everything else. That was after 1982 I arrived here. But we were there for 5 years. It just used, then after that they said, well, you had to, it's like a social experiment. He's part of a revolution experiment. We just a rat in the lab, whatever you call it. And so we were there, just see, they call the reform or re-education. Basically, it's a brainwash program and plus the harsh labor. So that's the combination of that.
You don't seem as if you were successfully brainwashed.
Well, there's a turning point. And after a few years, Mao have this vice president, Lin Biao, supposed to be a genius, lawyer to Mao's thoughts. I had to tell you about the communism. Probably here, people not really understand. There's not just one country, one party, one leader. Also, you want to show one thought. Everything. That's why this Mao's quotation book. So that's a brainwash book. You had to. So whole country have one thought called Mao Zedong's thought. So how do you get control, mind control? So that's it's an experiment, that we see. But you had to, from young, you started this. So you was completely far for this and loyal to them and whatever they want you to do. Not, you said not successful because he had this vice president supposed to be the one told everybody he was loyal to the Mao. He was study the Mao thoughts with the best one to interpret the thoughts, everything. So he's our next leader, spiritual leader. And then all of a sudden, something happening, and this guy wanted to betray Mao, not just betray, wanted to kill Mao. So they would make the thing say that he was escaped by the airplane, and actually they shut down the plane in the Mongolia desert. So I think his body, everything's still there, and eventually they clean back whatever it is. And so from that event, because we've been brainwashed, we didn't know anything, isolated from anything, we don't know anything what's happening in the world. And they honestly, they had to announce that this guy is gone. He betrayed the Mao, everything else. So we started thinking, the whole life you believe something actually is a big lie. Because he told us he's a God. How can the God will make a mistake? For the kids, it's very simple and mind to think about. We had to follow that because the guy, everything's right, correct. How can we make a mistake? And to choose such a one, then betrayed him. Yeah. So we started thinking. So that's a turning point. I think I thought about 3 days, 3 nights, I didn't even want to eat because I was very serious about the spiritually. It's something you believe. So from that day, I realized I was living in a big lie. I cannot believe anything. The whole world is corrupt. I don't know what to do, But not everybody. But some people maybe they follow where they're not really serious about what you had to live for what you believe. But I'm that kind of person, so I just from that point, I started rebelling. Back to my own thoughts.
Were you unusual in that regard? Or were there a lot of others who had that epiphany?
I think a lot of it, but for survival, you had to hide. Because otherwise, if you say what you think, so, in communist society, they're going to shut you. And you cannot express what you think because they want your thoughts become Mao thoughts, basically no thoughts. You're brainwashed, and they control your mind.
Wow.
So last year was 50 years anniversary. To today, they still think they do the propaganda. They want us to talk about how great it was 50 years ago. So you learn a lot from the village. You become a better person, whatever it is, and to publish the book, photo book, everything to show that. Actually, the village I went, they make as a propaganda model. And but that time, of course, I was in the United States for 38 years.
How did you get to the United States?
Well,
You would never imagine that you could escape to somewhere in the free world from the not free world. How did that happen?
That was after Nixon visiting China.
Okay, 1972,
opened the door.
72,
yeah.
Right.
Then after that, at least 10 years, and they started gradually open the door so that people can come into visiting from outside. I have some relatives living in the United States, so they come in to visit very early year, and early 80, not even that, 79 or something. So they come in. So that time I talked to them. I wanted to come in so that you can apply for visa for the student coming to study or something. But it's very difficult, and very few people, lucky one, can come out.
Okay.
That was the early
Right.
year.
So you got out, you experienced a world of freedom that you had not previously experienced in all of your life. And you began to live the American dream, basically, right? I mean,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that you have a particular revulsion for communism and for the Chinese communism. And you say living a lie back then and living a lie now, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you wanted to live a better life for yourself. So you got to the United States. You met a man that you would ultimately marry and have a wonderful 30-year marriage with. And enjoy the ability to make of yourself whatever you wanted, in this great country of ours. And you unfortunately lost your 30-year husband and soulmate, I don't know, 8-9 months ago, suddenly, very suddenly. And here you are just sort of observing what's going on. And I found it fascinating to have discussions with you. What do you think about the virus thing that's going on now in our country and worldwide?
Yeah, I just listened to all the callers, everything, and also all the informations online from different institutions, different country. But the one thing I think is missing, everybody's searching a fact, how this happened. And they ignore it. Things happen afterwards, have all kind of speculations, all kind of things people talk, different ideas, different conspiracy theory or whatever. Of course, China, the Communist Party, they started with this, regime. And but they try to cover it up. But somehow at this point, my opinion is the organization, WHO, that's why we had the movement recently, wanted this guy, the head of WHO, to resign. I think is paid by Chinese government, and make this false report to tell people. This truth will come out ever. I don't know. Depend on, I think only our country and lead the whole world to find out. And this is, to me, is a war. It's a war, World War III, just in different forms. Enemy, and it thinks they use this weapon. It's not the military. It's a virus. Yeah. But we now totally not prepared for it. Not prepared for it. We didn't think about what kind of, evil empire China becoming for last 30 years. And we provide them the help. They become like this. And what kind of war they will wage with the entire world. I don't think we even realize that, you know. So it's going to happen, just a beginning. Right now, this thing, it's just a beginning.
I see. Okay, Yost is calling me on FaceTime. We're talking with Amy here. Yost, can you hang on for just a little bit? I don't know if are you listening on the stream?
No, not yet, because
okay.
I didn't, I can't find the connection.
Hey, oh, okay. How you doing? Well, Jostberg is in Amsterdam, near Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and I asked that he can you just go to our website KSCO.com and listen to. Okay.
One moment.
Yeah, if you can listen to that, that'd be great. We're right in the middle of a broadcast now, and I do want you to be part of it, but I want you to get the foundation about what we're talking about so that it fits right in. So would you do me a favor, Yos, and call me back on FaceTime in, 15, 20 minutes into next hour? If you can do that, that'd be great, and maybe you can listen to the show up until then. Then you can give us an update from the Netherlands, okay?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you. Josberg, we'll hear from him a little later on. Sorry, Amy, I didn't mean to interrupt. This is sort of leading into a natural discussion of globalism.
I try to make a point short.
Okay.
I just think we had to go back, not after this happening, and before this happened, but after the SARS. And China did a lot of things, prepare this biochemical war. Those things they even published in lots of medical research journals, but right now they just ignore that. They not talk about that. Because they talk about how to artificially mutate the SARS to another form, the virus, everything, a lot of things. And they would talk about for a while, and then right now, because we had to stabilize the situation and to save people's life first. But how that happened and the fact, and just nobody say anything. We're waiting for who to find out. If we don't find out, nobody will.
Right.
So what's next?
All right. Let's talk about, we had a discussion yesterday about this could have a silver lining. And that word that you coined then was deglobalization. I'm not a fan. In fact, I'm an opponent, a strong opponent of globalization. Globalization basically means everything that's bad. That's what's happened to us and other parts of the world that are suffering now. No borders, okay? And nationalism is a good thing. It's not a racist thing. This is me talking in my opinion. And you're nodding your head, which means to me, it signifies to me that you agree. And that globalization has been a terrible, terrible thing that has put us in the position we are in now, dependent on an evil empire for, I'm pausing before I use the word survival. Not an acceptable position for our country to be in. And so I'm hoping that with these threats from China, which is producing most of our, pharmaceuticals, including the vaccines, present and future, and that they're threatening to withhold them from the world, including what's becoming their biggest enemy, U.S., the country that built them into what they are, like idiotically doing it along the way. I'm hoping that it will have the effect of having a lot of us wake up. I'm not just talking about liberals and conservatives, Democrats and Republicans. I'm talking about everybody. How can anybody think that it's a safe situation that we find ourselves in right now, with basically, to be really, 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 really crude, but I can't help myself.
8 showers continuing throughout your weekend. Overnight temperatures going to be getting down to the mid-40s. And to kick off your Sunday, a high of 60s expected, rain and patchy fog, as well as winds ranging from 5 to 10 miles per hour. KSCO News Talk Time 11:06. Let's get you on over to hour number 2 of the Saturday Special. This is KSCO.
Hey, Josh Stevens. Thank you for introducing our number 2 of the Saturday Special.
Always a pleasure.
Now, I'm going to, before I forget, play the familiar opening hour 2 jingle.
Oh, hello, darling. I hate to hang up on you, but I'm sorry, baby, but I have to go. It's time for that wonderful record show. I'd love to visit, but you'll have to call back.
Okay, we have a very special guest named Amy here on the Saturday special today. We're going to be taking up most, if not all, of the second hour with her.
I'm sorry, baby, but I really gotta go to KSCO Radio. Bye.
Jos in Netherlands, if you're monitoring, if I don't know if you can call us on your long distance plan in the United States, like Jamel did. Jamel, it's like a local call from Jamel in Sydney, Australia, to call anywhere in the world or certainly anywhere in the United States. But Jos, if you're listening, if you can call us at area code in the United States, and I think that our country code is 001 or something like that. 830. Okay, you're calling right now on FaceTime. All right. Okay, Jos. You know what? This isn't going to work. It's just not going to work. It sounds awful. We're going to have to do this next week, okay? I'm sorry because it's just not working. For some reason it worked before, but it's not working now. Can you call us on a regular United States phone number?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Okay, that number is area code 831 in the United States.
831, yes.
479.
Yes.
1080.
Yep.
If you call that number, and we'll put you on hold for a while so you can hear the program that we're talking about, and then I want it to fit together nicely by switching over to you and getting your report from how things are in the Netherlands. Okay?
Do I have to call now, Michael, or not?
You can call whenever you want. I would call if you can listen to our stream at KSCO.com. Right? Do you have us? Are you monitoring us now?
Yeah, I already have you now.
Okay, great. So you just call whenever you think it's appropriate, and then we'll take your call.
Do I have to call now, Michael?
You can call whenever you want. I would call if you can listen to It's all the network delay and everything. Anyhow, so great. Jos, we want to hear from you later on here, but we want it so that there isn't an echo and people aren't all discombobulated. Great. Thank you very much. Jos Berg in the Netherlands. Okay, Amy, we were starting to talk about de-globalism and how that's probably could be a silver lining with the coronavirus crisis right now. It could lead to a realization here in the United States that just to save some money, to save some money in costs of products that at the expense of our freedom and our health is not worth it. And that the manufacturing needs to come back to the United States, which is all of what President Trump has said. And I believe you're a fan of President Trump, right? I certainly am myself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's the first president to talk about this, deglobalization.
Yeah.
That all his policies, everything toward that direction. But
why do so many people hate him? Because the people who hate him, do they want globalization? I guess they do.
They want,
because they're still saying have no borders and have free, open borders. And if you talk about anything nationalistic or with borders, you're racist.
Yeah, so at the beginning, actually, I didn't know what's going to be because from a theory of the globalization sounds very good. Just theory of the communism sounds very good too. Yeah. It's a utopian.
Right.
Good. Whole world, everybody.
I read the Communist Manifesto when I was in high school. It seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, lots of people love it, because the utopian, idealist. The globalization also started with that.
Yep.
So I realized that after 30 years, getting worse and worse. And then I hope that time, I think that, maybe communism, those dictatorship in the world because the globalization, they're going to changing, then we have international policy to force them changing through the economy, trade. That's what I think. But the reality just opposite.
Yeah.
And then we're traveling a lot for the last 30 years, about 7 continents, 120 countries. So being everywhere, I'm looking at those countries, the changings after globalization, actually to the worse. Especially China is the only one benefiting and becoming so awfully rich, becoming this, I even cannot say communism. It's a new words to describe that. National capitalist. And the ruling class control the wealth of the world, basically. And the power you can even imagine. I'm talking, we totally American people wake up, Lots of things you had to wake up, look around, and realize what position we are in. And how we can fight this war. I think we still have a chance, still have a hope, but it's a lot of work. It's much harder than 30 years ago.
Cosmic Joe Jordan sends an email saying, and the point is, ... So why not Russia as the evil source of CV-19? They have a strangely low number of cases, and that's more evidence than this guest seems to be able to produce about China did it. And what difference does it make anyway if this thing was unleashed via a sinister plot? Are we supposed to thus conduct ourselves in some other way than with precautions right now? Or Joe, come on, you're smarter than that. No one's suggesting that. We're just having a discussion about globalism and deglobalism. Is globalism a good well, please call 479-1080. You're no stranger to the radio station. You had the Planet Watch program here on KSCO for, years. I believe it was years. Anyhow, P.S. I've been to China a couple of times. Interested to hear sometime about what all you had really liked there from your trip. Oh, okay. I guess I've said it on the air a bunch of times, but you're the busiest man in the world, Cosmic Joe, so you probably have missed my discussions of what I thought of China, which have changed. My impression of China has changed dramatically and it changes for the worse every day that passes. And why I didn't despise China from the moment they refused to give me a visa to enter their goddamn country just because I was a member of the media. That should have been a dead giveaway that they are scum, nothing but scum, because they do not want the truth to come out. But instead, I went over there to China, spent 10 or 12 days, and was very impressed with particularly Shanghai, where they had gone, they within a couple of years, it seemed, built a city of 26 million people with a lot of really nice, buildings and centers and economy in seemingly less time than it takes to get a damn building permit in Santa Cruz City or county. And that was both impressive and very depressing to me. But as time went on, I started realizing, wait a minute, they gave all the other people who were lefty liberals in our group, I was the only conservative Trump lover, as far as I know, or at least not willing to hide that fact. There were probably 2 or 3 others in the group that liked President Trump. But just because of that, I think a lot of the people in the group didn't care for me because they're close-minded assholes. Anyhow, don't get me started. Amy, I didn't mean to. You were on a roll, and here I've taken over, and
That's okay.
I don't mean to do that. But I'm fascinated by what you and I have discussed off the air about a possible silver lining of this being the deglobalization, or the beginning of deglobalization. Okay? And whether or not the idiots who are still in favor of globalization and think it's a good thing, you know, to put us in harm's way and make it very, very difficult, whether they can come around or not. They probably can't, because I think they're idiots. But anyhow, I'm sorry. I know I'm saying very shocking and you know, inflammatory things. So I'm going to shut up. You take over the show.
Well, I'm talking about globalization for 30 years. So the only biggest winner is China.
Clearly.
Yeah. And now we don't even realize how powerful they're becoming. So you follow the map for this coronavirus started with China. Lots of people say, oh, why they want to kill their own people? Started from there. They don't care about people. That's communism. They don't care about the life. That's a bigger difference. How can we use our standard to value them? I don't get it. Lots of people here, they say, don't say it, they started. See, lots of people die over there. They don't care. I can tell you, 1970s, they have a biggest earthquake in China. Entire town was buried, like a Pompeii in Italy. The whole town buried. They don't let anybody in. Red Cross wanted to go there help. They don't let, because they don't want the truth come out. They don't care people's life. That's China. That's communist regime. That's all about it. And then 50 years later now, finally, we know a little bit that the number, very conservative numbers, 850,000 people. That's a lot of lives. Think about that. But they don't care. This is just a small amount. They have lots of people. So be it. They can sacrifice some. That's all about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm seeing that light now. I really am. I mean, I have seen it, and but I saw the light about globalization some time ago. I used to think it was a good thing too. Why not have a world economy? Why not?
Yeah.
You know, a world unit of.
It's an idea or village where the what I call not the citizen, just one village for everybody.
Global village, yeah.
Yeah, global, whatever, right?
Right. Okay, we're talking with my friend Amy about globalization and where we find ourselves with respect to the coronavirus crisis right now and where we might be headed. If you want to give us a call, 479-1080, that's an area 831. If you want to email, it's mz@ksco.com. I do hope my friend Joe Jordan, Cosmic Joe, who wrote this last email that I read, will call in, because he's a very, very sharp guy, and I think he missed the point. But maybe I've set that straight with my little rant a few minutes ago. But anyhow, let's go back to the phone lines for a while anyhow, and Colonel Terry. Hi, Colonel Terry.
Hi, good morning, MZ, and good morning to your very articulate and an obviously intelligent, courageous lady.
I'll drink to that.
Amy, I'm glad that you were able to escape the oppression of Red China and come out, I hope, prosper here in America.
Thank you.
And so welcome. And I want to hear more of your comments and your perspective as the program goes on. My perspective includes that, first of all, big perspective, MZ. I urge you and your listeners to read today's opinion piece in the Sentinel, the commentary by Stephen Kessler, who's an excellent local writer and observer. Maybe this is what the planet needed, referring to the coronavirus. And I won't go into the details, but he's excellent at summarizing what I've shared with you before, The big picture is recognizing the reality that we have a planet of 7 billion people, which is far more than the resources of this planet can provide North American and Western European lifestyles for, in terms of energy, food, and other materials. We've depleted the oceans of 90% of the fish that were there in 1900. And similarly, we've depleted water resources, et cetera. And the trend is we cannot continue to overpopulate to the projected 9 billion, all of us using resources and producing pollution. So we've overpolluted, and that would be a reality that would also be clear to the Red Chinese government as well. On what I believe happened, as a guy who's been in the intelligence business in the Pentagon and elsewhere, and my full perspective is the evidence points that the Chinese, the Red Chinese, they had a biological warfare plant, or have it ongoing still, in Wuhan. That's where their germ and biowarfare center is. Coincidentally enough, this happens there. Also, there's some evidence they haven't rejected that they were using bats as a mechanism for breeding or otherwise developing their germ warfare efforts. I think that's what happened. It got away there. Yes, it got into the fish market, but it got out from their test center. The same way Lyme disease got out 70 years ago from somebody doing development off the coast of Rhode Island. Are you there?
You sure?
Okay.
I'm riveted.
If anybody else agrees with me. But, and the fact, my last piece of evidence, Amy, is the Red Chinese government declared right after it was reported this came from Wuhan. This false propaganda was put forth that our CIA had taken the coronavirus to Wuhan, in inland mainland China, 1,000 miles or so, all of which is preposterous, but it's totally consistent with their immediate response to alter the truth and reality and to produce fake news and fake propaganda, which she agreed that that's a likely thing that happened.
Colonel Terry, I want Amy to know a little about your background. You have worked in the White House, I think, right? For more than one president? I want to say it right.
Yes, that's correct.
Which presidents and when?
Reagan, period.
Reagan. Okay.
Yeah, also Bush 1 and Clinton.
Fantastic.
And I've seen... Okay, so I've seen a lot of what I would call the real facts and reality when you pull back the blanket.
Right.
And we have a dangerous world. We have people who have no honor, integrity, or concern, as Amy points out, like the communist government thugs, for anybody on the planet but themselves, either their own power or, in the case of Putin, both his own power and his own greed.
Hey, Colonel Terry, back a couple minutes ago when you were talking about how we're taxing the planet and, and the resources and everything, I almost asked you, gee, Colonel Terry, are you, among other things, a disciple of Population Pat? But I didn't, because you were sort of on a roll. And I don't know if you've heard Population...
I'm a disciple of... We cannot... recognizing reality, as I've shared many times.
Here, speaking of Population Pat, whom I was thinking of, here he is as a caller. Am I right, Population Pat?
Da-da, it's me.
Yeah, good. Haven't heard from you in a long time.
Pat and I commiserated at Penny University and other places.
Oh.
And again, he sees the reality. We have overpopulated this planet. We've overpolluted it. We're overpoisoning it. And Kessler's article I refer you to in today's opinion page in the Sentinel summarizes exactly what I'm saying is the big picture. And his bottom line is maybe this is beneficial, that it will cause our world population to reduce and increases, and maybe zap a third or so of us, and perhaps more in the long run.
Well, I hope it's not me, and I hope it's not Amy, and I hope it's not any of our listeners, and I hope it's not any of our callers.
Well, we've been warning about this. That's what we've always been warning about it. Nature's going to take care of the population problem if we don't do it on our own. So here we go.
Interesting.
As far as
Pat, you agree with me? The possibility is that the Red Chinese were developing germ warfare that became the coronavirus in Wuhan, which is where their germ warfare center is.
Hey, we've got our own germ warfare stuff going on. They've got theirs, I imagine. I don't know this for a fact, but it seems most likely that both our countries are playing with this kind of stuff and may have used it against our adversaries, or maybe it got released accidentally. That doesn't surprise me at all if that's the case, but I can't say for certain.
Surely.
But as far as the Penny University goes, you and I used to go there, and they kicked me out because even though they consider themselves the bastion of free speech, they kicked me out. Do you remember that, Terry?
Oh yes, I do.
Is it still operating, guys?
Yes, and it's I don't go often either because it's so left wing. They disrespect the importance of evidence.
Okay, talking about left wing, I don't want to put you in a box, Terry, because you can't do that, and it's not fair. But I do want to point out, because Amy is just now getting to know you, and I think she nods her head and she likes everything you're saying. Are you still a Trump opponent?
I am in what I call the smart political wing. I am neither right-wing ridiculous nor left-wing lunatic. I look at each issue and I apply logic.
You've always applauded Trump's position on the borders.
Oh, there's no question.
Illegal immigration, but I thought that you dislike him in just about every other issue.
He's 1,000% correct on enforcing immigration. He's also correct in identifying the terrible trade treaties that allowed China to steal so much of our technology and millions of our jobs. And I mean steal economically. He's wrong on the right wing denying women choice. And he's wrong on his support and his obviously contrivances with Putin, for which I could provide lots of evidence. So the guy's a national security risk regarding Putin. He's correct on immigration enforcement. He's correct on the trade deals have been bad. But he's wrong on a lot of other things.
Trump was going to get us. Part of the reason Trump got elected was because he was going to get us out of these Mideastern wars, and he's got us. He has not done that. What do you think about that?
Well, I think our position in those Mideastern we were correct to be in Syria. 1,000 of our troops kept the Turks from invading and murdering the Kurds, and it cost us billions of dollars to achieve that peace there. And Trump threw it away based on a phone call with Erdogan, the horrible dictator in Turkey. And it's very suspicious because the Turkish government stopped taxing Trump's hotel properties 2 years ago in Turkey, among other things, and a lot of Turkish investment dollars went to Trump properties that his son-in-law is managing.
Terry, do you have proof of all this?
Yes. I don't say things I haven't seen evidence for.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, listen, thank you both for calling the Saturday special. We're going to go to Jim and Marina, who points out that this is the year of the rat.
Yes. Hello. Hello, Michael, and hello to your guest. I'm really enjoying the show. The year of the rat, let's see, 1996. Missile technology was transferred to China by L'Oreal Corporation. 2008, our economy crashed. 2020, we have this new addition to the SARS family outbreak that's much worse. It came from a area near the biological laboratory. So I think that there is at least a inference that can be taken that China is aggressively toying with us in a bad way. I don't know, and I would like to ask your guest what she thinks.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
And that
a specific question, Jim and Marina, for Amy.
Okay, I wanted to point out that in 1996 we transferred missile technology to China through the L'Oreal Corporation. Bill Clinton allowed that. And then in 2008, these are all the year of the rat. The Chinese, the Chinese zodiac. And then in 2008, our economy crashed. 2020, we have the new addition to the SARS, this COVID-19 outbreak, which is devastating our economy once again. And I was wondering if you thought that maybe China is, or I mean not China, but the PLA government that is in control in China right now may be intentionally doing it.
Not maybe. Not maybe, for sure.
Okay, because to me it's like we're in the octagon with China, and we're sitting there trying to be nice and smiling and bowing, and they're like slapping us and flopping us around the ring like a silly rag doll. And I just it's kind of silly to me. And like I say, it's not China. I try and make this point to people. It's the PLA government that's in control in China, and they're in pursuit of world domination, and that's kind of, I don't know if their brand of government is the type of government that I would want to see, controlling the globe right now.
That's for sure. But you know why?
Why?
To be honest, this is the corporate greed. Who's the beneficial? Bigger corporations make a huge money from a globalization. They are the one.
Right. Yeah. That's another point I like.
That's a lot of American companies. You know that.
It's the PLA sympathizers in our company that are really taking a toll on us, I think.
Yeah, money overrides their whatever, but they have to think about that. Right now for the moment, I think this thing happening. So,
I don't know, but it seems kind of strange to me that and another point I like to make to people is that this SARS, it's the SARS virus, and it has been. If you were to develop a biological weapon, it would be perfect because it's highly infectious. It's easy to kill, and it's easy to treat if you know what it is and how to treat it. So I mean that's exactly what you'd want to load on a missile and send over, and boom, start. That's just like Saddam used to do with the mycoplasma incognitus that they discovered was the cause of the Gulf War syndrome. He'd put it in the artillery shells and shoot it over, and then everybody'd have muscle aches and they'd be sick and they wouldn't be able to fight very well. I think it's the same. I may be. This may be a total conspiracy theory, but it seems logical to me that if you were to develop a biological weapon, that's the type of thing you'd want, because you wouldn't want something. You'd want something that was going to incapacitate people, incapacitate a society, but not necessarily destroy everything that's useful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this impact to the global economy, to every country, is far worse than nuclear weapon.
Wow.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. The result right now already show. It's going to continue to show next maybe 10 years. You blow away something, and you can rebuild. But this virus also not easy to trace. Who did this? Right now they use fake news to cover up after this. And just every day you hear all kinds of things. I can't believe I saw the list, what kind of meeting, newspapers from different countries, what kind of meeting the Chinese government is the owner of those organizations. They buy everything. So they think that they can say everything what they wanted to. So I don't even, lots of things I don't even look at. The number they report in China, the deaths, toll, everything, this is all fake numbers. Unbelievable fake.
Right.
I don't know how many people died there. They just do the math. Sometimes they kind of stupid too, because you line the small things and then you look at and you calculate it to come out the bigger numbers.
China has always been willing to take sacrifices. If you look back to the Korean conflict, where we faced China in Northern Korea, you know, they were willing to just mass thousands of troops and just run them right into the machine guns in order to overpower positions. You know, the human wave tactic.
The number is milling. In Korea War, Chinese soldiers.
Yeah. Jim and Marina, thank you very much.
I totally agree with you.
Thank you for calling the Saturday special and adding.
Very nice to talk to you. Have a good day.
Adding to the program. We have Tom Quinn, who doesn't call in very often, but he's there now. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the Saturday special. Tom. He
might have had a call issue there.
Oh, okay. So let's go to Lucas in Soledad, who's been waiting a long time. Hey, Lucas, welcome to the Saturday special.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like your guest host there. She's really good. I have to wonder, well, there's a few things I wonder, actually a lot, but whatever. Like over in China, one of your other people said earlier in the show that it's been 2 weeks and they still haven't had any more cases over in China, okay? Now, I don't believe that, to be honest with you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
My son, he works for Apple here, but he also has people that work over in Apple, okay? And they open up the Apple stores over there, and they start letting people out, you know, a lot of different people out. And, you know, with them hiding this from us at the very beginning, all right, and all these people flew to all these different countries, and knowing very well that they could have possibly had this virus, okay? So that affected all over the country because there's so many visitors that go to China, all right? And so I'm like, all right, well, I don't think that this was by accident. It's hard for me to believe that from one fish store, whatever it was, outdoor store, that 3 or 4 people got infected somehow, and that spread to hundreds of thousands of people already.
Right.
Okay, that's hard. Okay? The second thing is, for me, hard to believe, is now, 2 weeks later, they're saying, well, we don't have it anymore, and it makes me wonder if they have the vaccine that can help people, but they're going to hold out on that. And let's say that they already helped their own peoples, all right, that they've made force in the house. They're not going to let them talk to no media whatsoever, okay? And they're going to keep a good, tight thing, and they're going to come into all these countries to us after this keeps getting worse, and they're going to act like they're the great white knight, okay? Oh, we came up with this vaccine, and all of a sudden, everybody's going to think that they are the heroes. That's how I think they play their games. So that was one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say is, even in our own country, this $2 trillion was $2.2 trillion that got passed. Okay, I thought it was $2 trillion, but now I find out it's $0.2 trillion. Okay, I find it very odd that all of a sudden they finally decided to get this thing passed, but where did they come up with this number unless they knew this was really going to be bad? So they had to figure out in advance how to take care of this, all right? And it's like them forcing GM to build those, what do you call those machines?
Ventilators.
Vendors.
Okay, the ventilator. Okay, what I'm confused about is in our country, there's 105,000 people throughout our country that has it, but not 105,000 people in all the hospitals and across the country. No, there's only X amount of people that are in the hospitals, and the ventilators, you know, and when it comes to beds in a hospital, most hospitals have about, I would imagine, about 400 or 500 beds anyhow, and they don't have a ventilator for every room in case someone were to be dying? I don't get that. So I don't know. I think this bill got passed with the idea that, okay, even our own government's going to come in like heroes and say, all right, now that we passed this $2.2 trillion, about a month or 2 months from now, all of a sudden, the curve went the other direction, and boy, everything is looking really good. Everybody's back to work. Oh, man, what if it wasn't for the government and China, this could have never been resolved. What do you think about that, guys?
I don't know what to think about it. What do you think, Amy?
What I think?
Yeah.
I think at the beginning, United States is not prepared for that. Then afterwards, they had to do something. So I think you're talking about ventilator. I think people actually, the fact is, if you're on ventilator, you're just waiting to die. It's
if you need a ventilator,
that's it. You know, it's not not the treatment. It's not treatment. Just extension. How many days you can
then why are they
extend
making
it?
such a big deal of a ventilator? I don't know. Maybe there are some cases where people are put on a ventilator and that saves their lives.
No. That's
Are
not
you sure?
I'm sure that's all I know from China, for other country, Italy or some. That's what they said. And from a medical
why are they making a big deal?
Professional, they say when you're on ventilator, that's just a date. Just the last couple of more days. That was it. Nobody come back from a ventilator. No.
Well, my sister-in-law is a nurse, okay, over in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And with the ventilators, what happens is each room in a hospital has a ventilator. Every room has one, at least in Arizona. I don't know about every other hospital, but they should have one that is always there. And the whole idea with the ventilator is when you get this coronavirus or COVID, whatever you call it, 19, they start to lose their breath, so they got to get that ventilator on them. And at least if they only can make it up, they will pass away within 2 weeks if their respiratory system, even with that ventilator. But it only takes 2 weeks that's the longest it will take to pass.
All right.
So anyway,
Thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for calling, and thank you for waiting, Lucas and Soledad. If Jos in Netherlands is still, Jaunty update. Oh God. Thank you. There's no time. We got too many other things, so we'll play it in the next show or something like that. Thank you, Josh Stevens. So. I noticed that Jos was on the phone from the Netherlands. He had called, and he was monitoring, I thought, but maybe he thought that we weren't going to take him. I'm looking to take him, and he's not there. So maybe if he's still monitoring, I didn't want him to think that we weren't going to take his call, and because we want to get updated about what's going on in the Netherlands, where we understand things are pretty intense. So, Jos, if you're still monitoring through the stream on KSCO.com or wherever, many different places carry our stream on the internet, please give us a call back at 831-479-1080. Okay, let's see, who's next? Well, who's been waiting the longest? Rory in Watsonville. Quick, Rory.
Thank you. Amy, thanks for your courage to come on and tell the true story of what your people have gone through. The Chinese people under the despotic Chinese communist ruling elite. Terry, you are a self-loathing individual. You would fit very well into the Chi-Com's plans. Okay, the Malthusian theories that you espouse are bankrupt and been proven wrong. The Earth is big, a big place, plenty for everybody. I did want to say that the whole idea of globalism is a leftist communist ideology. We're not against. I'm all for international trade and international relations, but I'm not for dissolving international borders. And that's what the globalists have been espousing for many, many years. I read it in a CFR journal in the 70s, where one of the authors said that the nation state was passé. It was time to unite. So this is a leftist elite ideology, and it's un-American. And thank God for President Trump, because he knows what's going on. He's fighting back against it. And the idea that this might have escaped from that Chinese lab is very true. Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, he's the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he said that 2 weeks ago. He said there's good evidence. He said we won't know until we get in there and to look at it. Now, the other thing is, ventilators are in short supply. They don't have them as many as they think they need. That's why there's a big rush to get this done, to get areas that are hot spots like New York and other places, the ventilators they need. The drug cocktail, the malaria drug, which I forget the name, the malaria drug plus Zithromax and maybe another antiviral, it does help people that are on death's doorstep. And a guy that was on a ventilator in Florida, he's a California resident, 52-year-old. You can find his, in fact, I'll send it to you, MZ. But he would call his family and say goodbye. He thought he was going to die. They dosed him with that combo. His fever broke in 10 hours, and he was out of the hospital in 4 days. And so this is not a death sentence. My colleague, like Amy, I mentioned to you, my colleague and his wife got it. They recovered at UCSF. He's back to work. He was part of that early group that didn't know this was going on in China and visited his family there in mid-January and got out as soon as he knew what was going on. And so I blame the Chinese communists, and we set them up in business. Dr. Stan said the best enemy money could buy. Traders in this country did that. It was unnecessary. And they are using their influence in the media. Just read The Atlantic and other propaganda outlets. Sports. Look what the NBA did last summer. They capitulated to the Chinese masters and media. They expunge. And I know Amy knows this. They won't allow the Taiwanese flag in movies anymore. You won't see it because the Chinese paymasters, the Chinese Communist Party, won't allow it. So America, wake up and identify people around you, educate them, and if they reject it, they're a domestic enemy. Let them go move to China or Venezuela.
Hey, Rory, I rarely get an email from Charlie Friedman, but I have today, and it was forwarded, it's something forwarded from, the subject is from a fed-up friend, and that's Paul Trigg who sent it to Charlie, and Charlie sent it out to a bunch of other people. And that, what it says is, this coronavirus is turning me into a Democrat. I'm staying at home, not working, complaining about everything, and waiting for a check from the government.
I'll leave you with one other funny. Did you hear that the leprechauns switched out the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and put a pot of toilet paper? That's the latest news.
Great.
All right, you guys.
Thanks for calling here. Okay, let's see. Don in Salinas, real quick. What's up, Don?
Well, what I want to say is climate change is not a scam, but how we want to deal with it is a total scam. It's the same with this virus, whether it was made in a lab or some Chinese ate a bat and crafted it out. It's here. How we're dealing with it is a total scam. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. You know, like this curve that you say they want to flatten, MZ. That you want to flatten the curve on the wave of the virus going through. What does that do for us? When you look at the actual numbers, what the curve we should be flattening are deaths and hospitalizations. And now how do you flatten that? You look at Italy. Average age was 81 for the people killed. That should be a no-brainer. We need to hide the victims of that the virus is going to kill. Quit playing cooties, who's got the cooties, and all of us hiding in our house like little sissies that we're not even going to get sick. You know, this guy was called before and said there was 100,000 victims. There isn't. There's 100,000 people tested positive. How many of those even have a cough? Okay? How many of those are going to get sick? And out of those sick, how many are going to die? Well, I'll tell you who's going to die, the oldest ones that are testing positive. And we're forcing old people to go to grocery stores to buy toilet paper right next to young people who are carriers of the damned virus. We're handling this in a cowardly, unscientific, stupid manner. And we need to stop it. We need to actually quit worrying about ourselves and start worrying about who's actually going to die from this thing.
Right. Okay. Thank you for calling, Don and Salinas. Josh Stevens, how long is Jaunty's update?
I believe it's only like 4 minutes.
Okay. Well, we'll try to do that. But here, let's take Tom Quinn, who called back. I don't know where you were before, Tom, but you're on now.
It's great.
Got cut off.
Okay.
Hey, great show. Yeah, I agree a bit with the previous caller. Everyone needs to calm down. I mean, it's just our Constitution is more important. Our economy is more important. I mean, what they've seen in these other countries is true. A few people have died, but there's 50,000 people a year die from the flu, and no one seems to get upset about that. How many thousands die from accidents, car accidents? You know, it's just down in Mexico, for example, the president of Mexico, he was saying to just calm down. If you go drive over the border, all the businesses are running there. Everyone's just running around like nothing's happened. I mean, it just amazes me how, you know, people are putting up with this, what I consider very extreme government intrusion into their lives. I'm sort of surprised and disappointed that people are putting up with it.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling and making that perspective.
I appreciate the comments of Amy, too, about what's going on in China.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Here's Rich in Ben Lomond. Forget social distancing? What?
Well, I these last two callers kind of said what I wanted to say, but okay, yes, as of yesterday, I looked at the facts. Now, the statistics seem to demonstrate that this disease is somewhat contagious. However, it's not really deadly, and as such, I think that what we ought to do is forget about all this isolating and social distancing and start with some naturopathic cures like zinc, quinine. Now, I've heard one doctor say that if it's really bad, you can take antibiotics, okay? And let's forget about, forget about all this social distancing and put people back to work and forget about the $2.2 trillion. If for no other reason that the government is already trillions of dollars in debt, and I think they're making a mountain out of a molehill. The statistics don't say that. And here's something else. I called Dominican Hospital yesterday. I got some nurse or something. I said, "Are you filled up?" He said, "No, we're not. They're not. There's not a whole bunch of people in the hospital, according to her anyway, and she ought to know." So that's what I'm trying to say.
We're looking at the future. That's all.
Yeah.
Better be safe than sorry. Anyhow, I appreciate your call to the Saturday.
Well, you can't argue with the fact that zinc and quinine are proven anti-viral substances.
I'll take one more thing. You had to look at New York. What's happened to now? You know. If we don't do that, we don't do isolation. That's the only way. I don't know what's happened to here. Because we don't like people social distance, whatever it is, so I think help a lot. Look at New York.
Okay, well, sure. All right, New York, fine. But look, there's about the most crowded place.
We don't want to be like that.
Okay, I want to thank you for your call. We got to go to Danny in Soledad real quick. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah. Hi. I just wanted to make an observation on how, I guess it was around maybe 2 years ago, it was very much in the news. They were tearing down statues in the South and pretty much all around the country. And I saw that as a way, it was very reminiscent of what Amy talked about, the Cultural Revolution. We were trying to destroy a people's culture. And it just fascinated me that the parallels between, I guess it might still be happening, the attack on our culture, but it's, like I said, the parallels between that and what Amy experienced in China with the Cultural Revolution. So I'd be fascinated just to hear more that perspective.
We're going to have to continue it on a subsequent program. Apologies to Gina in Santa Cruz. We have to play John T now.
KSCO's Director of Digital Media. Let's do a thought experiment. It has 3 parts. First, take 100 people and ask them all if they ever touch their face. What do you think they'd answer? My guess is about 80% would say, no, I almost never touch my face. Second, invite them all to a big dinner party. Put invisible ink on all the knives, forks, and cups so that it rubs off on all their fingers. Third, invite them, one at a time, into a separate room where they sit down in a chair and a black light is shone on their faces. How many of them would have ink on their faces? I'm guessing every single person would have ink all over their face, especially the people who said, I never touch my face. They would be the ones who had obviously been picking their nose at the dinner table. Now, when I was in elementary school, there was this mysterious entity called cooties. It was really confusing for me at first, coming from a different country, because everyone took these cooties really seriously. I didn't know they were imaginary at first. Just knew you really didn't want them. There was a girl who, I guess, was sort of funky looking for her age, and man, she had the worst cooties of them all. Anything she touched would get the cooties. Anything she looked at. If she smiled at you, you'd have cooties for days. The joke was on us, though. A friend of mine and I ran into her in college. Drop dead gorgeous. Legs that went all the way to China. I guess now we live in a cootified world. Suddenly, everyone I know has the cooties. Every box that arrives, every shopping cart or doorknob. The one thing that doesn't have cooties is our website, KSCO.com. You can listen to your favorite shows anywhere in the world. And if any of you are interested in becoming part of a community of health-conscious individuals who support each other through a work-from-home business, take a look at criticalhealthnews.com. You can find some of my interviews with pharmacist Ben Fuchs, read unique articles on everything from meditation to the biochemistry of nutrition. If you're interested in the business, you can email me, Jonty McCollier, at jc@ksco.com, or Flight 1080's Dave Michaels, dm@ksco.com. Or go straight to the top and email mz@ksco.com and say, I'm interested in the business. Once again, I'm Jonty McCollier. Enjoy the rest of the Saturday special. Stay safe out there, and whatever you do, don't pick your nose.
That's great. Unfortunately, there's not much of the Saturday special to enjoy, like a minute and a half or so. But that is long enough for, well, you know what? Here, it's not right. Here, let's, Gina stayed on. So, Gina, real quick, you're on. Gina.
Oh, hi.
Quick.
Hi.
Quick, you're on.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that MMS, sodium chloride, is really active against the virus as a hand solution, and also you can put it in your nose and gargle with it. If you look at the financial information on new investments, it's considered a orphan drug by the EU. Anyway, besides that, we still are waiting for funding for places to keep the people in shelter. The cops are still taking blankets and tents away, even the last 3 days. Seniors, 72-year-old women. I mean, I've been just like out there trying to give people some protection. I'm out of money. Please donate to Food Not Bombs. Nobody else seems to be addressing much. They're just doing business as usual.
Okay, we're at the end of the show. Amy, you were great. You know how I love compliments. I've gotten lots of compliments about having you on the show. But that's the show for today, gang. See you next week.